Hey guys, what's up? So today I want to talk to you about new trucks, used trucks, older trucks. What do you really need to get in the hot shot business? Stay tuned. Alright guys, don't forget the links in the description. Beefjerky.com, Mytee Products, both of them are really good to support the channel, so you guys get on over there and support them. You're going to be needing some straps and all kind of stuff when you go to set up your trailer, like that right there, all that kind of good stuff. And whoops, all of those straps, you get every bit of that at Mytee Products. So be sure you go over there and check them out. It helps our channel when you buy through the links below, and so I really appreciate it when you do. So all right guys, so do you have to have, whoops, look who wants to be in the show. Look here, y'all met my girl. This is Lightning. I don't know if I've formally introduced y'all, but yep, she's a daddy's girl. She thinks wherever daddy is, she's got to be. But she loves playing outside, so she said she gets in the videos occasionally. But anyway, back to what we was talking about. So, do you need a brand new truck to get in the hot shot business or any kind of business, trucking or whatever? That answer is no. Do you need a fairly new one? Well, that answer could be no. Can you get by with running some older stuff? That answer could be yes. And why I keep saying could be, it depends. So, in my case, I bought a 17. It's a year old. I mean, I bought it a year ago. It's a 17. I bought it a year ago. But it just has flipped 100,000 miles. It's got 106,000. When I bought it, it had 16,000 a year ago. So I've done some work to it. I spent some money on it. A lot of money, actually. And so, but it's in pretty good shape now. It runs good and all that. Transmission, motor, good. There were just some things that went bad on it that the RAM don't cover under warranty. And maybe we might get into that one day, but it's a little deceiving, but can't help it. But anyway, so I chose to go with a used one, and I would say it paid off. But there's some different factors to calculate into that. So one of the factors is, so a lot of people figure what something costs based on the payment. And that's not really the way to do it. You base it on what you actually give. Then if you borrow money, you got to figure the interest. If you're paying cash, you got to look at that. Well, as far as payment goes, you can buy a new truck and get a payment for about the same as you can a used one. So if you don't have cash or access to getting a good loan on a used truck, you may want to look at that in a different way than I look at it. So I owe for my truck. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that you may, if you got to pay a payment, depending on how many years the new truck is versus the used one. You got to look at all those factors. Then if you buy a used one, you got to be willing to know up front, more than likely it's not under warranty anymore unless it's you get one fairly new. Can you fix it? Do you have a good fund for repairs? That's the thing. And I'm gonna answer all the questions in a general statement here together. So when you're deciding to buy a truck, what do you buy? I like buying trucks that are a year or two old, but now that varies. Alright, so for instance, if you buy a new truck, a lot of times they'll have cheaper interest. So you have to compare the interest you would pay on a used one and the total cost versus the interest you would pay on a new one, total cost, and see, they might not be hardly any different by the time you save on the interest, especially now that we're getting up close to $100,000 for a new truck. Interest is going to play an even bigger factor. Back when I bought my first diesel truck, back in our other business, Chevy Duramax, I gave it the 30s for it, brand new, right off the lot. It had cloth seats and all that, but what I'm saying is, back then, $30,000, and then back then, GM was giving you money for nothing. Like, you didn't pay any interest. It was 0 interest if you had good credit. And so, interest wasn't a factor, but I could actually buy a new one cheaper than I could buy a used one. And actually, back then, I was trading trucks about every year. And I never had to work on a truck, because if anything ever went wrong, GM fixed it. And I never had many problems until the last few I had. I think we may have a tractor coming by. But anyway, so you got to look at that. It was cheaper for me back then to buy new. And I did. I bought several brand new Chevy Duramaxes. So, now that a new Ram, if you buy a new tradesman 3,500, I think they're bumping 80,000. So 1 or 2% difference in interest from a new into a used is going to make a huge difference on 80. Then if you go up to 4,500, 5,500 trucks, then you're even looking at maybe even 100,000 or something decked out a little bit more than maybe a tradesman. You're looking at close to 100,000. So 1 or 2% in the interest is huge. It's not little anymore like those $30,000 trucks. Now we're talking about $100,000. So if you're looking at $2,000 a year difference in interest, or you take and divide that by 12, that's well over $100 a month. And so $2,000 roughly a year in difference in interest, or on 2% on 100,000. So I don't know. You got to look at all those things when you're considering what to buy. I will say this though. If you're running local like I do, you can get by with a lot less truck than maybe something. If you're going to be over the road, you may want something maybe near. But I will, going back to this, and I hate to keep saying I will say this, but to say that I have, and it was just last year, Ram sold all them new trucks. Last year and the year before, I think, Ram sold all them new trucks and had all kinds of issues. All kinds of issues. And I'm talking about they were shutting down and couldn't get parts, and brand new Ram trucks sitting there for months at a time not being able to get fixed. So it's not always nearer is better. But the odds do say pretty much that a newer truck is going to give less problems. But don't always mean that. So you still need, what I'm saying is, you still need an emergency savings account in case it hits the fan, even with a new truck, even with a used truck. So don't think you can't have that emergency fund, because if you had a brand new truck and you still got to make the payments. It don't matter if they've got it sitting in the shop getting warranty work. The payments still roll. So you got to prepare in case that happens. That's sad, but it's true. You know, the finance company that financed it or whatever, usually it's the dealership, the manufacturers. A lot of them are financed. When I was buying Chevrolet, GMAC financed all of them. So, but they're separate companies, and they make you pay no matter if your truck's sitting in there being warranted, whether you can make money or not. So you got to realize that up front. So anyway, that is my answer in a nutshell, and I know it ain't probably the answer you wanted. Let me say this too, though, that if you're, don't take financial advice from YouTubers. Like, I may buy me a new truck. I'm actually looking for a new truck. I want what I want, and I'm looking for the deal that I want. May or may not get one. But I decide those things based on what my financial people tell me. You see what I'm saying? Don't let me tell you your financial, the things you need to do financially. You need people that knows you and your financial situation to give you that information. And so make sure you consult your person before you do anything. Before you do anything at all. Because YouTubers are basing a lot of their information off their facts, not your facts. And not only is your facts different, your state's different. Your amount of money your income is different. And your kind of businesses, might be different. So even though y'all might be in trucking, there may be some things about your trucking business that's different than their trucking business. You see what I'm saying? So there may be times, and I'm just going to throw that out there, there may be times that where buying a new truck is financially beneficial to you. I may be in that situation, talking with my financial people. So may not, I may can do some different things. But anyway, if you can ever invest in your business and that keeps you from giving the government more money, to me, I'm not telling you, I'm telling me, I had rather invest in my business than take that money and give it to the government. That's just me. There's going to be people disagree in the comments. That's just me. I pay taxes, all that, I do my fair share. But if I can buy something new or improve my company or build a building or buy new equipment rather than write a big check at the end of the year, I'm going to do that. So, but remember too what I said, control your debt. Control your debt. That, you've got to do that, because if you get your debt to here, then you've got to run cheap freight when you're barely making money. You know what happens when you're barely making money and running cheap freight? You wear out your equipment because you feel desperate to make payments. You don't calculate in enough to replace your equipment. And guess what? In a few months or a couple of years, you've got wore out equipment and no money to replace it with. So, never be desperate. Always stay ahead of your money. Always control your money. There's a lot of people that don't believe in any debt. I ain't one of those people. I do believe in controlling your debt. We want a big margin. We want debt to be here, and we want your income to be here. So, I always know that. The garbage truck's running. Wouldn't you know it? So, anyway, guys, that's my take on new, used, or old. It's a personal decision. If you're a good mechanic, old and used might be good. And if it's financially feasible, it might be good. So, but it also might be financially feasible to go buy a brand new. So, check out all your options. Don't take what somebody else said. You do your own numbers. Remember, I've told you about how to do your own numbers. So, go back and watch those videos and calculate your money. Don't calculate somebody else's money. Don't calculate somebody else's expenses. Calculate your money. Everything you do with your business, you should be in control of. Don't let anybody else influence you either way, because you're ultimately responsible for you. These other guys are responsible for them. So you might can run cheaper than they can. You might can run cheaper freight. Hey, that's all on you. I'm not ever going to blame anybody for taking cheap freight, because if they can make money, it's on them. Because I know that if they're not doing their numbers right, they're going to be out of business soon, and we're not going to have to worry about that dummy that took the cheap freight that wasn't making money. It will show up in the end. You won't have to tell us. It'll show up, because in a couple of years, we'll still be running, and you won't be, because you won't have no equipment. So, and I don't want to see that. I want to see everybody make it. There's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of good paying loads out there. Just don't get desperate. Love you guys. Have a great day. I hope you guys remember what I always say about safe trips. My mind went blank. If you want to have a safe trip, you got to start out doing safe things. Inspect your truck, your trailer, and all your equipment. If you need any equipment, click the link below and go to Mytee Products. They'll hook you up. Love you guys. See ya.